The Closer Survival Guide by Grant Cardone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Samuel and I want to make self-growth normal. If you want to make self-growth normal, because I don't want to do it alone, and who doesn't want to make self-growth normal, then make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It helps with ranking and SEO and all this other stuff, and I really appreciate it because so much work goes into making these videos. Now, in just about every one of my reviews, I go over standout quotes and I talk about who I recommend the book to, as well as what books to maybe check out next. But in this review, first, I'm going to go over my thoughts on Grant as an author and personality in the sales field. And I'm going to try to do this differently from how I normally do with books of his. I'm also going to talk about how this book is similar and different from his other material on selling that I've checked out. The Closer Survival Guide contains 100 different ways to close a deal. This is not like the 80s where they give you,
here guys, today I'm going to teach you 7 different ways, or 22 different ways even.
This is 100. That is a huge deal, and there's no way in hell that I'm going to do the review about every one of them. I mean, the closes alone are only half the audiobook. But hopefully, by the end of this video, you can see at least, maybe the way I see it, how insane this book is. My philosophy on Grant and Grant's philosophy, I think I have a lot to say on it. You could probably find it in my other reviews of his work. Something I like about him is that he's just very idiot-proof. You can't digest his programs or books and feel like an idiot. And his philosophy, maybe partially because of this, it's not something I follow entirely, but I am a huge fan of it. I'm in auto sales. I'm a BDC, so I don't sell the cars, but I do sell the appointments for people to sell the cars. Man, I love it. I'm actually helping the dealer grow their YouTube channel. It's probably going to grow faster than mine, to be frank, because let's face it, face value, a lot of nonfiction books to most people are boring. But my goal with this channel is to make self-growth normal. So we're going to change that. But I was trading vehicles with a sister store one day, and I saw this book on a GM's desk, and I was like, ooh, I gotta review that sometime. So here we are, Closer Survival Guide by Grant Cardone, over 100 ways to ink the deal. Grant started in auto sales and he was disappointed in a lot of things about the actual sales process and how it treated customers. He saw not only a more ethical way of doing things, but he saw more money in that way. So he was like, oh my gosh, I gotta make some changes. If it weren't for him, I probably, 1, wouldn't be in auto sales, and 2, if I were, it wouldn't be at such a young age in such a profitable, future-proof industry. Grant at this book's publishing has been in sales for 25 years. He spent years collecting research on both the changing customer and the changing market. He developed training programs, he traveled across the world with salespeople, managers, entrepreneurs, fundraisers, and industries, putting together processes and practices that ensure that someone doesn't just survive but thrive. And he puts a lot of emphasis in this in his work, regardless of economic environment. He says that hopefully by the end of this book, you leave excited with possibilities, fully armed with information that has resulted in attendees of his seminars leaving his seminars and creating billions of dollars in sales. Books of his like The 10X Rule, The Millionaire Booklet, I have listened to tens of times. And applying the knowledge in his work, this is a reason that I get so excited when I review his books, is that it's made me probably more money than any other author ever. As a nonfiction book reviewer alone, I will really stand by that. But something I noticed listening to Closer Survival Guide, and you may want to bear with me because it takes a really unreal turn for the better. It's a little questionable. Is there an overlap of information between Closer Survival Guide and his other work, Sell or Be Sold? He does talk a lot about things like, 1, creating your own economy, where you have prospects and opportunities seized and pipelines full to the point where it's like you are the owner of a whole economy and you created it and what that's comprised of. Number 2, how if you don't sell someone something, that person sold you on not selling them something. If I try to sell you a book and I fail because you didn't want it, I didn't sell you a book. You sold me your disinterest in a book. 3, if you have a no, if you're getting no's, it's because you lack know, K-N-O-W. If you have no money, there's something you don't know about money. If you have no prospects, there's something you don't know about prospecting. If you have no sales, there's something you don't know about sales. And 4, the ability to predict what is going to happen in a sales process. Practicing, drilling, and rehearsing responses to objections, stalls, and everything that you hear other than, okay man, let's just do this. Shut up, take my money, I gotta sign this right now. He talks about all of this in Closer Survival Guide and Sell or Be Sold. But there's a lot you can find in Closer Survival Guide that you cannot find in Sell or Be Sold. And by a lot, I mean a metric zeptoton So much that it deserves its own word that might not even exist. He goes over the 21 rules of selling. A lot of these are not in Sell or Be Sold, the 10 reasons closers fail, and then he goes over the closing methods. Now, I am not by any stretch of the means, if that's the saying that for whatever reason, Sell or Be Sold sucks or anything like that. In fact, it's hard for me to even explain to you how much I've gotten out of Sell or Be Sold. That's why I haven't reviewed it yet, but I've listened to so many books on like mindset and stuff that I think that the second half of Closer Survival Guide, at least the audiobook, is something that like, it just kind of assumes that you have mindset and work ethic down to a science where you're ready for that really concrete, rubber meets the road knowledge. I had no idea that this book was so phenomenally different until I started hearing the 100 different ways to close. This book, I will say this, and I don't know how much I can stress this, it is much more technical. I was very surprised by this. It is his most technical, diabolical, creative, specific work I've heard to this day. If you like him for his motivational stuff alone, this is simply not for you. At the unavailable party close number 1, it became evident to me in particular how much the trial and error of his work has gone into the expertise presented in this book. If you don't have the party you need, maybe the CFO finance person or spouse, the first party agrees to ownership figures and conditions spelled out, delivery of the product is subject to so-and-so's approval. Is that fair? And what I was just saying, he says that this should be used as a last resort for an unavailable party and only after the spouse or boss stalls. So for anyone who's listening to that and they're like, Sam, what the hell does that even mean? It's basically an example of mine of like, it suggests there was error in this, probably involving salespeople who did not use it as a last resort for that. And he also said that shortcutters will abuse this close and lose deals, so it's something you gotta be careful with. And this is not the only close where he says this. And this suggests to me that there was also an error in a deal, in abuse of trial, probably involving salespeople. So they abused the trial of his close. But my point is that these conditions, do this, don't overdo this, a lot of prior trial and error. There are some that you may already know about, like the Ben Franklin close, and the puppy dog close, and the doorknob close, and the feel, felt, and found close. I will say this, Closer's Survival Guide is very diligent. Relative to his other stuff, Grant came here equipped with many different closes. Like, this truly is an arsenal. He even acknowledges somewhere in the book that like he's talking about things in like a way that almost sounds like he's describing military terms. I was astounded by it. There are 2 different closes for just inventory related stuff. One for presenting the benefits of moving up a model, and another for presenting the benefits of moving down a model. There's another few for breaking down payments to the buyer, so it makes more sense to them exactly what they're buying. There are 5 or 6 different ones for just budget, and that's just budget. If you think money is all about budget alone when it comes to buying, what about finance? What about payoff? There are multiple ones for finance and payoff. And when he says out of the box thinking, it's like almost like doomsday stuff. Stuff that few salespeople would ever consider, unless of course they have an unrealistic, like undying commitment to their purpose. There's a close for people who say, get this, let me pray about it. And he presents it in a way for those who are and are not, like, wouldn't consider themselves spiritual. It's for the customer who, 1, genuinely needs to pray about a decision before they make them, or 2, uses prayer as not to make a decision, and it is used with complete respect for people's beliefs. I do want to stress that. Sir, I appreciate that. I pray about every decision in my own life. Every morning I pray myself. If you don't say, just say that you appreciate that. How are you most comfortable praying? On your knees, standing up, sitting down? How are you most comfortable praying? Good, let's pray together. I trust God won't mislead either of us. I am willing to accept God's will for the both of us. Again, you want to honor the buyer's belief and be with him or her when he makes contact with who he or she prays to. Ones like the disease close or the do it anyway close are out of the box in the sense that they're almost kind of insane. Like in the disease close, I totally agree, the payments are way too high, but it's not a disease, it's not gonna kill you, now let's do this. Who says that? What salespeople says that? I totally agree, the price is way too high. 99% of the people who come in here spend more than they're looking to spend. Everyone is spending more than they're looking to spend, and you deserve it. So we have a club on Monday nights, you can come in, you can talk about all the money that you spend that you didn't want to spend. People actually apparently laugh at this, and like this requires a lot of like confidence, if you can imagine. He doesn't just tell you these closes, he tells you how to say them, and it makes you think not just like what to say, but how to say it, and it almost subtly stresses how important that is. So, I mean, this may sound condescending, but I don't know, the more you hear them, like, it's hard to imagine yourself not at least trying some of them down the road. Someone's gotta be out of their mind to try this. Upon first impression, I thought that these are actually almost stupid. But one, they're not incorrect. It's true. And two, the more of these I heard with Grant's reasoning, the more I was like,
you know what? I could actually kind of see myself trying this.
With the right confidence, under the right circumstances, and people saying yes with millions of dollars at bay. You have to be bold with some of these for sure, but if you believe in what you're doing, and that you truly make a difference, and that your company really cares about helping people, none of these should be a problem. Who says this? Sir, I refuse to believe that you aren't gonna do this. Look, it's the right product, the price is great, I know you want it, let's do this. I just think about all of these, assuming there is a very healthy degree to which you answered all the customers' questions about the product and the payment and the features and the finance, whatever it is, they all need to be delivered with a smile, with great conviction, and more to yes than they have to no. Sir, I'm not gonna quit on you. You're either gonna buy from me now, or I'm gonna call you every day until you do this. It's the right thing, it's the right product, it's the right price, it's a great deal, and I'm not gonna quit on you, so let's do this. Might I add, the fact that he can't seem to go 2 or 3 closes without reminding us, hey, you can do this, don't be afraid to. If it's really worth it, it's yours for the taking. I want to say that adds like an unexpectedly humane and vulnerable aspect of like humility and carefulness to this book. There are closes like the can't take it with you close.
It's a lot of money, but you can't take it with you.
Or the it's better to live rich close. These almost make it sound absurd to spend more time making a decision, let alone saying no to these deals. Uses of these closes will occur with rapport established prior. Without question, I'm gonna be listening to this audio program on repeat for quite some time. I found myself thinking constantly, oh my gosh, I have to write this down. But I think I'm gonna start a separate Google Doc and write like different ways to close the deal that I can apply to my everyday life. I don't know, we'll see. Quotes. You don't want to be short on money and long on years. You want to be long on money and short on years. No one cares what you can't do. People don't make decisions easily. Help them. No matter how much money you have, it won't buy you an extra day. Buyers are not liars. Negotiators make people lie because they ask questions that force people to lie. Don't discount the price. Discount the objection. Many things heard in the close are mere reactions. They're not real responses. Direction 1. I'll say it again. This book is not Sell or Be Sold. This book is much more technical. It's his most diabolical, creative, and specific work I have heard to this day. If you like him because of his motivational stuff alone, this book is not for you. The first half of this audiobook, at least, is very mindset based. A lot of it is a very similar cloth to Sell or Be Sold, but the second half of it is such hardcore, like concrete advice on sales. If it's not obvious, particularly closing, that anyone who wants to get better at closing, this book is so for you. You may just want to check it out just to see what he has to say. And you may think a lot of them are stupid, but you just gotta hear them out, like please. Direction 2. This is, in case I didn't say it like 9,732 times in this review, this is a very diligent book. It's probably more diligent and maybe atomic than any other sales book I've checked out. Granted, I haven't checked out all that many sales books, but I have checked out quite a few about like psychology and persuasion, and those have definitely helped me out with sales, like the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene and Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. But those are like more basic psychology of like getting people to say yes and stuff like that. This is definitely a book that I would recommend for anyone who has checked out Sell or Be Sold and they're like, okay man, I got all the mindset stuff, where do I go from here? The Closer's Survival Guide by Grant Cardone. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video, if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it, but hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop a new video, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere and I will see you then.